we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
Cops charged. 6 officers arrested as Freddie Gray's death is ruled a homicide.
Golden gloves, the big money in a big fight. What's your name?
Her mother's voice. How our New Yorkers of the Week are helping a child hear for the first time.
It's Friday, May 1st, 2015, from Columbia University in New York City. This is Columbia News Tonight.
Good evening. Welcome to Columbia News Tonight. I'm Liza Lucas.
And I'm Shannon Luibrand. We begin tonight with the latest on the death of Freddie Gray in Baltimore. Today, the state attorney's office filed criminal charges against 6 police officers. That came just a day after the Baltimore Police Department completed their own investigation into Gray's death.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
6 officers will be charged in the death of the 25-year-old African-American man. 1 charged with second-degree murder, and the others charged with manslaughter, assault, or lesser charges. The chief prosecutor says police failed at least 5 times to secure Gray with the seatbelt. His arrest was illegal, and police ignored his pleas for medical attention. Gray had a spinal injury and died a week later.
Mr. Gray suffered a severe and critical neck injury as a result of being handcuffed, shackled by his feet, and unrestrained inside of the BPD wagon.
His death is the latest to lead to national outrage over excessive force used by police and the treatment of African Americans. A knife was found on Gray, but the prosecutor's office says the knife was lawful. Gray's death prompted protests and riots in Baltimore, and protests in major cities like Philadelphia, New York, and Boston.
Warrants were issued for all 6 officers, and 5 are currently in custody.
Most of last night's rallies were peaceful protests with picket signs and marching. Here in New York, some protesters have a unique way of making sure they're heard loud and clear. Andrew Johnson is here to tell us about those voices on the street.
Last night at one police plaza, there were signs, chants, and alternative forms of protest, including rap songs, dances, and martial arts demonstrations. It's not a Mortal Kombat fight, but this is a fight.
We're fighting for equality in America. You know, what's going on with the police is absolutely insane. And what's going on in this country is insane.
Joel Ronson is a young comedian and musician from London who moved to the city 3 years ago. He was one of many here last night watching what organizers called a block party.
There's more ways to fight back than just protesting and marching. There's culture and art and music and love that can also do it. But at the same time, we also know it's a fight.
People like Josmar Trujillo are leading protests around the country against police violence. Freddie Gray's death is the latest call to action.
I think there's at least a faint hope amongst the protesters that someone out there is actually willing to listen.
CUNY law professor Victor Good says the issue is something politicians have wrestled with for years.
This isn't really a sort of a partisan question. These are simply basic facts on the ground. This is a reality that politicians can't escape anymore.
As darkness fell, the party and protesting continued. The event was organized on Facebook.
You know, our people have this already innately in them, and so it's just a matter of just tapping into that.
I can't breathe with your arm on my neck.
Stop! Trujillo says this won't be the last time he will do this.
We fight back with our voices, we fight back with our bodies, we fight back with our music, we fight back by any means necessary.
In addition to the dancing and rapping, people wrote the names of those killed by the police on the ground using chalk. Liza?
Thanks, Andrew.
Dramatic developments today in the Bridgegate scandal involving 3 people with close ties to Governor Chris Christie. 2 of his former aides were indicted in the scheme to close lanes and tie up traffic on the George Washington Bridge. All that came hours after a former key ally of Christie pleaded guilty in the scandal.
Wildstein pleaded guilty today to his role of closing local access lanes on the George Washington Bridge. The closure of the local lanes and the reduction of toll booths led to major traffic problems for Fort Lee residents in September 2013. All of this was revealed to be retribution for Mayor Mark Sokolich after he refused to support Governor Chris Christie in his re-election campaign. It was here at a federal courthouse in Newark that earlier today, Wildstein admitted to purposely blocking traffic lanes on the first day of school to maximize punishment for the Fort Lee mayor. Today, Sokolich called the act venomous, calculated, and despicable. Findings from today also claim that Wildstein, along with alleged accomplices Bill Baroni and Bridget Kelly, used the code word radio silence in ignoring pleas for help from the mayor. Wildstein's lawyer had this to say.
Mr. Christie knew of the lane closures while they were occurring, and evidence exists to establish that.
Governor Christie struck back in a tweet just after the hearing, saying that he had no knowledge or involvement in the planning or execution of this act.
It was sickening to know that there are people who were in jobs and positions of great responsibility that chose, as we suspected, the first day of school.
This is a black eye on representative democracy.
Late today, Kelly and an attorney for Baroni said that Wildstein was lying. Wildstein, who continues to cooperate with the government, is scheduled to be sentenced on August 6th. Grace Lee, Columbia News Tonight.
Today is the 13th day of jury deliberations in the Eton Pates murder trial. The jury is still struggling to reach a decision. After telling the judge they were deadlocked, the jury is once again listening to closing arguments read back, an unusual procedure even for such a complicated case. The jury resumes deliberations on Monday. Coming up, the latest on devastating earthquake that shook Nepal, and right back here in Queens, what the Nepalese community is doing to show support for those back in their home country. In Nepal, thousands of people are still unaccounted for from last week's 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Over 6,000 people are confirmed dead. 2 survivors were rescued yesterday, including a 15-year-old boy who had been stuck in the rubble. As the country rebuilds, members of the Nepalese community here in New York City are gathering to show support and raise money. Charmaine Nero reports.
Here in Jackson Heights, members of the Nepalese community gathered to offer prayers and light candles for the victims of last week's earthquake that left thousands homeless.
Nepal is a poor country, and we are already struggling before the earthquake, politically, socially, and economically. Now, this tragedy has put Nepal back 15 to 20 years.
Lama says that the destruction in Nepal has caused permanent damage to streets, homes, and temples in rural villages.
The devastation is epic. The 40% of country is crumbled, and the numbers of death tolls are increasing. And now we are trying to raise awareness, we are trying to raise some funds.
Organizers are gathering clothes and medical supplies to send to Nepal. A wall of remembrance and hope is drawing messages from people all over the world.
I wrote, Nepal, beautiful people, beautiful place, always seeing the best. Your strength and positivity will pull you through this.
On the wall behind me are signs of support that read, Nepal, we are with you, from the members of the community here in Jackson Heights. Not only has this community been affected, but other New Yorkers are sharing their support for their family back in Nepal.
My parents, I must say, they're still shocked.
Ajita Singh is a graduate student at Columbia University. Her family home was destroyed, as were many community temples, but she says crumbled walls won't break their faith.
Even if the buildings aren't there, the spirituality inside us, it hasn't died. It's still alive. And in fact, it has grown to the extent that nothing matters to us except relationships and human lives.
As the sun sets on Jackson Heights, neighbors light candles in memory of those lost.
Basically, those are all our people. Those are all human beings. So we can't just stay like here, without doing anything.
Community members tell us they will continue to collect donations through Sunday to send 7,456 miles away. Charmaine Nero, Columbia News Tonight.
You've heard of batteries for your car. Well, how about a car company making batteries that can power your home? The Tesla Powerwall home battery uses technology similar to their electric cars. The lithium-ion battery can store energy from a home's solar panel and can be mounted on walls. Hot dogs, pretzels, and chestnuts are street food staples in New York. Legislation is making its way through the state Senate to require health grades for food carts, just like in the ones in restaurants. Justin Morton reports.
He also smokes cigarette after cigarette.
Eating at food carts has not always been the most appetizing choice. A few years ago, Inside Edition chronicled the poor sanitation practices of cart workers serving food. Although the city's Department of Health has imposed stricter sanitation rules, food carts may soon be more scrutinized.
Like New York City restaurants, food carts may also be subjected to the grade level system, where they have to showcase their grade right here in front of the cart.
New York Senator Jose Peralta, who's proposing the bill, believes it will spur positive change for New York City.
We want to avoid a situation where we have individuals eating from these food carts and they don't know if it's sanitary or not. Customers really want to feel safe when they purchase food from a street vendor.
Senator Peralta's bill has cleared the state Senate committee and is before a committee in the Assembly. Rami, a manager at the popular The Halal Guys food cart, thinks that assigning grade levels is a smart idea.
Actually, it's a good policy because now you're gonna know which car is good than the other one. So which one is give good food and the clean one.
Longtime customers of The Halal Guys agree with the policy.
There should be a quality control because you never know what's going on behind the scene. But with these people, I know I've been coming since '97, so I never had a problem, but I think it's a good policy.
Sarah Abiola, a professor at Columbia's School of Public Health, believes the policy is important.
The Department of Health's efforts to really address what some might consider to be a serious public health threat, which is the potential for food poisoning and other illnesses that arise when people are eating from carts that have not been properly cleaned, or food is being stored at temperatures that are not sufficient to kind of maintain the sanitation of that food.
As food carts in New York City become more popular, regulators are starting to think about how to grade them. This is Justin Morton from Columbia News Tonight.
Love Chipotle? For some consumers, there might now be another reason to choose the Tex-Mex chain. Chipotle will remove food containing GMOs, genetically modified organisms, from its menu. Emmeline Tay has the details in this week's Consumer Watch.
Thanks, Liza. Despite the fact that more than 16 major international science organizations has concluded there's no reason to avoid GMOs, Chipotle has decided otherwise. Today, the company put up a bunch of flyers saying that they will not be serving GMOs. Chipotle is GM over it, according to its website. This week, the fast food chain that rose to fame by branding itself as a healthy option announced that it will be removing genetically modified ingredients from its menu. The company said, Chipotle is on a never-ending journey to source the highest quality ingredients we can find. Over the years, as we have learned more about GMOs, we've decided that using them in our food doesn't align with that vision. Some consumers welcomed the news.
I like that. One of the things that I have a problem with is the over-processing of food.
Others weren't so sure.
I think that GMO is kind of too broad of a term for me to form a particular opinion about it.
And they might have a reason to question Chipotle's motives.
Because they're a company, I think that in some ways it is something that they think will actually increase their business. On the other hand, I think it is also making a statement that this is something that they think that people really care about.
Chipotle is not eliminating all GMOs from its menu. Soda, which contains GMO corn, will continue to be served, but most of the items on the menu are considered to be healthy. Chipotle will also continue to use meat from pigs and chicken that consume a GMO diet.
The question is there a reason for us to be concerned about consuming GMOs?
I'm not sure from the data that's out there how much we know about the health impacts. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have negative health impacts, and it doesn't mean that it does. We just don't have enough data to know.
So what are consumers to do? Well, if GMOs are a concern for you, Chipotle is probably your best bet of the fast food restaurants available. As of right now, it looks like the prices will stay the same. Back to you, Liza.
Thanks, Emmeline.
Starbucks opened its first ever express store in New York. It's not a place to sit and sip coffee. The new cafe is an espresso shot version of the venti-sized chain. There are no chairs or tables, and customers can order from a digital menu. Starbucks plans to open 4 more express stores in New York this year as part of the chain's expansion.
Up next, our Morningside Report. A closer look at new luxury buildings that will be blocking the view of a New York institution. And another New York institution. The Whitney Museum opens its doors at a new location. We'll tell you where you can find it. For sports fans, Saturday is going to be a busy day. After the horses make their run at Churchill Downs in the Kentucky Derby, people will be waiting for the evening showdown in Vegas between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Michaela Viello is here to tell us why millions of dollars are on the line.
This weekend, it's all about the money. Millions of dollars will be spent on advertising, endorsements, and watching the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. The question is not whether you'll be watching, but where you'll be watching and how much it'll cost you. Boxing's fan base has been on the decline, but this weekend, it's back on everyone's radar.
You can't not watch this fight.
In less than 24 hours, these boxers are going to be putting down their gloves and kicking up their feet for what they hope to be the knockout of the century.
For fans like these who are not going to Vegas, the question is where to watch. Pay-per-view purchases will account for about $300 million in revenue alone. While it will cost viewers $100 to watch the fight at home, sports bars in the city are charging customers as little as $30 to watch. Neighborhood businesses are feeling the pressure to show the fight.
This is the first time we've ever charged at the door for anything. We typically don't like to do that. We consider ourselves a neighborhood place.
Businesses don't have a choice. HBO and Showtime charge them $20 to $30 per head for anticipated capacity. Some businesses are looking to pay in the tens of thousands of dollars.
This is what the public's been asking for years. They're finally going to get their chance to see these two guys fight.
But what are the fighters getting out of this?
But they're probably looking at close to $100 million for each guy. Plus, Pacquiao's shorts that he's going to wear in the ring will have a sponsorship that generated $2.3 million. That's just for him.
Whether they have money on the fight or not, the question for all fans is who is going to win.
Really would like Pacquiao to win.
I'm rooting for Pacquiao.
Mayweather.
Today, Mayweather's the man.
Pacquiao. Rooting for Pacquiao, but my mind says that Mayweather will win the fight.
But some fans are just looking for a good fight.
It's going to be a good one. Someone's hitting the canvas.
Sports gamblers will definitely be tuned in, particularly one who bet $500,000 on Pacquiao this week. It's the largest wager the MGM Resort in Las Vegas has ever seen. Liza?
Thanks, Michaela.
One of the most notable landmarks in New York City will soon get 2 neighbors, but not everybody in the area is welcoming them. In this week's Morningside Report, Linda Zhang tells us how they will change the landscape of the neighborhood.
Despite several protests, 2 residential towers have been rising on the north side of the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. In the latest architectural rendering, the buildings will have 428 units, including 87 set aside as affordable apartments. The developer has a 99-year lease and will be paying the church $5 million every year. While their protests did not bring any changes, local residents say the church is making a very bad decision.
The word we used was desecrate. This really desecrates the church. It blocks those magnificent stained glass windows and the Gothic statuary. It shuts the light out from the north side of the nave, and it really prevents this church from being admired.
Aesthetics, neighbors say, are everything.
It's not even an attractive looking building. I mean,
While local residents are not so happy about these buildings coming up, St. John the Divine says it really needs the money. The church declined to comment on this project. However, it issued the following statement. Although the cathedral is world-renowned and vital to the community, its endowment had become insufficient for operational costs. For now, tour guides are putting the best face on this project.
We have the old and we have the new. A little bit of the past, a little bit of the present.
Constructions will be complete next year, and then we'll know what we can see and what we can't. Linda Zhang, Columbia News Tonight.
Further downtown today, the Whitney Museum of American Art welcomes the public to a $422 million space. That's a work of art in its own right. Yesterday's ribbon-cutting ceremony featured a very special visitor.
It is an amazing space. I fell in love with the building.
The Whitney's new building brings the museum back to downtown Manhattan, where it was founded in 1930 by artist-philanthropist Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney. It's a huge venue, 220,000 square feet, 9 stories high. That's twice as large as the museum's former location on Fifth Avenue. There's even an outdoor exhibit space facing the High Line. Mayor Bill de Blasio joined the First Lady at the dedication.
We already knew we were the mecca of the art world, but just in case, we need to make it clearer. This museum does it.
The inaugural exhibit is America is Hard to See, 600 works including paintings, sculptures, installations, and video from 1900 to today. The Whitney says this is the most extensive display of the museum's collection ever.
Each of us reflecting and rethinking our assumptions as we walk through these galleries. And I think that will be an incredibly powerful experience for anyone who comes here to visit. That is the power of institutions like the Whitney.
Tonight, the Empire State Building will feature a special light show inspired by Whitney artists, such as Andy Warhol and Georgia O'Keeffe. And on Saturday, visitors can enjoy the new museum for free. Picasso's The Women of Algiers could become one of the most expensive pieces of art ever sold at auction. The legendary painting is set to hit the auction block at Christie's next Tuesday. It's expected to go for around $140 million. If sold, it will beat Edward Munch's The Scream, which was bought for $120 million in 2012.
Coming up on Columbia News Tonight, in our Focus Report, a new way for mothers who can't produce their own milk to get what they need. In London, they're calling it the Great Kate Wait. Brits have been camped out at the Linda Wing Hospital, waiting for the birth of the second royal baby. The Duchess of Cambridge is several days overdue. The baby's gender still unknown, upping the anticipation for royal number 2's arrival.
Mothers across the globe recognize the importance of providing their children with breast milk. But as our Jane Greaves tells us in our Focus Report, it's not so easy for New York mothers to donate extra breast milk.
New York mother of 2, Jennifer Wolinetz, considers herself an overproducer.
I just said, what am I going to do with all this? It's such a waste. So I looked around and I found this Mother's Milk Bank in Austin, Texas.
While Jennifer shipped her milk to Texas, the closest milk bank is in Massachusetts, which is still not your backyard. The growing demand for breast milk resulted in a rapid explosion of online milk-sharing groups like Eats and Feeds and Human Milk for Human Babies. Jenny Kim, mother of 3, also chooses to donate her milk to other babies. She pumps while working in her Manhattan office.
I've used this website about 4 times in the course of the last 6 years to donate some of my stash.
Milk banks charge about $4 per ounce, but Jenny gives hers away for free. The online swapping is based on honor. Would she trust someone if the situation were reversed?
I'm not sure that I would.
The FDA doesn't regulate breast milk, but recommends using approved milk banks that screen milk donors and safely collect, process, handle, test, and store the milk. Naomi Baryam, the executive director of Mother's Milk Bank Northeast, says the screening process is very important.
In the blood test, we test for HIV, HTLV, syphilis, hepatitis B and C.
According to the Mother's Milk Bank Northeast, currently about 100 donors from New York City ship their excess breast milk up to Massachusetts. The minimum one-time donation is about 80 ounces, and the total minimum is 150.
we're really designed to help premature babies. And there are 3 states in the country that require a tissue banking license in order to dispense human milk. And New York State is one of them.
I'm standing outside of NYU Langone Medical Center. It's one of only 16 hospitals in New York State that has a breast milk specific tissue bank license. It enables hospitals to offer donated mother's milk to newborns. Langone got its license 1 month ago. However, mothers can't just drop off their excess milk here. It still needs to be shipped to Massachusetts for processing. The owner of a breastfeeding supply store, Felina Rakowski-Gallagher, where Jenny is a frequent shopper, is working on opening a milk depot at her store.
This is the Upper West Side. We're located on the Upper West Side of New York City.
Milk Depot is a collection site where pre-screened women drop off their surplus milk.
I will have a freezer. It's basically the holding pattern.
This will be the first milk depot in New York City. Jane Greaves, Columbia News Tonight.
When we come back on Columbia News Tonight, our New Yorkers of the Week, a pioneering group of surgeons helping deaf children hear. In a strange case, even for Hollywood, actress Sofia Vergara and her ex-fiancé, Nick Loeb, are fighting for custody of their children, who haven't even been born. Loeb wants custody of 2 frozen female embryos the couple share. The actress has no desire to have children with Loeb. Legal documents don't specify what will happen to the embryos if the couple separates.
With the help of a small ear implant, most people born deaf today will fully hear by age 10. For a small percentage born with more severe deafness, however, that implant won't work. Joe Khalil tells us how our New Yorkers of the Week work to change that and deliver the gift of sound through surgery.
That's right, Shannon. In fact, about 1 in every 1,000 deaf children get no benefit at all from those ear implants that you were talking about. We caught up with one family who says the operation for them has completely changed their lives.
Put your name. Do your name. Ava. Ava.
Considering just a few months ago, 4-year-old Ava Scalero couldn't hear anything at all, it's not surprising just the sound of her mom's voice brings a big smile to her face.
She hears the dog barking, she knows the blow dryer, so every day is something new for Ava.
Ava was born deaf, but unlike most deaf children, she was born without a working cochlea, the nerve that sends sound from her ear to her brain. To have any chance at hearing at all, she needed a small device surgically put into her brain.
You know, we hear with our brains, not with our ears, really. The information gets to our brain, and that's how we hear.
Dr. Thomas Rowland at NYU's Langone Medical Center is one of only a handful of doctors nationwide who performs auditory brain implants, or ABIs, on children. It's risky, but if done right, the procedure could be life-changing. Before this year, only European surgeons performed ABIs on children. The FDA hasn't approved the procedure in the U.S., but they're now conducting a trial on a few patients in just 4 hospitals.
Have you been there for one of those moments where a child hears their parent's voice for the first time?
Yes.
What's that like?
It's very exciting. This is good business to be in.
2, 3, 4.
At a follow-up appointment, Dr. William Shapiro stimulates electrodes in Ava's implant.
Now.
She signals that she can hear with a smile for mom or dad.
She never did that with a cochlear implant. So we know we're making some progress with her. So it's great to be able to improve someone's quality of life, and that's what we do. That's what we do.
And it isn't just the patient's life these doctors improve.
My son Peter, he calls it the magic ear. That's what we call Ava's ABI. So now he tells me when Ava's listening or hears something, Ava heard that, Ava heard that. So it's been an exciting journey.
Ba, 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 ba. I couldn't ask for a better team. You know, we all work collaboratively, and there's always somebody that you can bounce things off of. So it's great.
This is an amazing team of people that truly care and want the best for your child.
You know, these are small miracles that happen every day, like the sun coming up. It's a miracle, and it happens every day, and you have to remember that, you know, it is still a miracle, even though you're seeing it, you know, very often.
And every day, these miracle workers are changing lives.
I hear it.
Yes.
One sound at a time. So far, the team at Langone has implanted ABIs in 6 children, and they plan on doing the same for 14 more before the FDA trial is complete. Shannon?
Thanks, Joe. That's Columbia News Tonight for this week. I'm Shannon Luibrand.
And I'm Liza Lucas. Good night.